Well, you don't pay your taxes, you don't pay your bills, you get into trouble. As the Arizona Coyotes are finding out right now, and someone who's been all over this story for a very long time, Katie Strang from The Athletic joining us now. Katie, thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so hearing about the Coyotes being in financial trouble, let's face it, is nothing new if you're a hockey fan. But when you start hearing things like, we'll be locked out of home arena, well, that made everyone kind of raise their eyebrows. So I guess it's a really simple first question for you, Katie. How did we get to this point?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's certainly not something that has developed overnight. I mean, there have been months and months of, an extremely tenuous relationship between the city of Glendale and the Coyotes. Back in the summer, there was the decision by the city of Glendale to terminate its joint lease agreement at the end of this year, which would essentially, render the Coyotes homeless following the season. And it really, I think, showcased a deteriorating relationship that was marked by, unpaid bills and a lot of back and forth about money owed. And, there was a clear chasm there. And that has certainly been exacerbated in the past few months to get to this point, right? Taking a pretty significant step on the city's behalf to revoke the Coyotes' operating business license, to essentially say, hey, you got to settle up your debt, or else we're not just going to lock you out of the arena, but also lock you out of, the office space that the team uses as administrative space for the organization. And the vendors are going to be locked out too. So, this is a very firm message that you have been not been paying your bills as promised, and we are going to take some determinative action to try to force your hand.
Okay, cards on the table. I'm not a tax lawyer. I'm not a financial expert in any way, shape, or form. But when I see that the Arizona Coyotes owe money not only to the state, but to the city of Glendale as well, isn't that just a huge red flag?
Yes. I mean, taxes, I'm also not a certified accountant, and I'm not, financial acumen is not my strength. But to me, it seems like, the taxes, the money that you owe the state or, the city, those are some of the like boxes you want to check first, right? They're not suggestions or something that can be massaged. They're pretty firm. So yes, I would say that's a major red flag. And beyond that, I think it's important to note that this isn't just like a missed payment or two, but dating back to June 2020. And that also there are significant unpaid arena charges relating to the fiscal year of 2020, 2021, that season. So, this is not just a tax issue. This is an issue of, unpaid bills as it relates to the whole operation.
Okay, so Katie, the Coyotes are saying it is human error and that they're going to be paid up by the end of the day. That's essentially like saying the check's in the mail, which you hear a lot from people who are delinquent with their bills. In short, do you believe them, or does this just feel like damage control?
So I think by trying to chalk it up to human error, they are asking, for a benefit of the doubt that I'm no longer willing to give. I've done a lot of reporting on this organization, and much of that reporting has, centered around financial issues. And, when you're in my position, you look for patterns of behavior. And I wrote a very lengthy story back in February that revolved around this very issue, which is, there is a pattern of, leaving a long trail of unpaid expenses, invoices, not paying vendors or independent contractors what they are owed for services and or goods, trying to whittle them down for a significant, reduced portion of what they're owed. So this is not a bug. This is a feature of how they do business. And so to try to chalk it up as human error, I think is really, trying to minimize what's going on here and to try to pass it off as something that's isolated or a one-off or just sort of a simple administrative oversight. I don't think that's what's at play here. And I don't think most discerning individuals would believe so either.
Thanks for helping us make sense of this whole thing, Katie, and I'll keep your number handy.
You bet. Have a good one.